that runs the world. Welcome everyone to our in-depth view of the Torah. We started 3,300 years ago with the pasuk of Meitav Sdei Meitav Karam Yerushalem, and when we got to the Gemara, it concluded that this Meitav is a question of how do you pay back the nizak for the damage that you did, and that led us to a bias problem, which was, wait a minute, now, as he said in Derek Tfunos, remember, you have to look at the memra in and of itself, and then the memra in terms of other memorim. So, and then there's a relationship he had there, the very important little part of Tunos that you think could be doma, even though the words are different, or they can be different even though the words are the same, and there's variations in between. So here, one of the variations is contradiction. So we say pasuk demands the best of your Sodel Karam, and the pasuk that talks about Kesev says an extra word Yashiv, and that all of a sudden lets us use the worst metaltalin. Well, if I could use the worst metaltalin, so why do I need the best to use the best of your land? That was a bias problem, and we got down to two conclusions. One was the conclusion of Reb Papa, which we understood according to Tosfos and the Rif, Remedo Tam, and the Rif and the Rush, that you have an equal ability to pay back with all three of those items: Kesef, Shevet Kesef, and Meitav. That was Rev Papa's position when he said that all metaltalin is good and it's land that's not good, and that's why the Torah said give the best of your land. And that we understood from the Rif and the Rush that when the Torah said give the best of the land, that moved land into being Meitav also. So whatever lack of customers you have is going to be made up by the desirability of the best land. And that's how we understood Rev Papa. On the other hand, we had Rev Huna, who pushed Subin or metaltalin to the last position. In other words, you can give Kesef or Meitav Karka, and if you don't have them, then you can give Subin. So that was the basic setup. Our only problem with the Rush really was the halacha, which is supposed to go according to the Basroi, and Reb Papa's the Basroi, and Rabbeinu Tam doesn't hold the halacha like the Basroi, and the Rush explained that you have to say that like the Rif, and he concludes the halachas like the Rif. We hold like Reb Papa, and all the three alternatives are equal. The Mazik can pick which one he would like to do equally. That's how we put it in the Rush. The Nemuki Yosef brought us, the reason why I put this upside down is because he's a later Rishon. He brought us the Rambam, which you can read inside. It all of a sudden gives some sort of precedent to metaltalin over Karka. Well, that was a surprise. That's a new way of thinking, because we kept saying either metaltalin is equal to Karka or metaltalin is worse than Karka, according to Rav Huna. But to say that metaltalin has some sort of preference was a new view that we saw in the Rambam. And the Ramah pushed it one step further and made a triple hierarchy. He said the first thing you must do is give Kesef, then you give metaltalin, and the last thing you do is give Meitav. So that was the level of the Rishonim, and when it got to the Tur, we had a debate, what did the Tur mean? Some people, that's the Bach and the Drisha, wanted to push the Tur into the Rush and Reb Papa, and just explain his language to say that don't think that the Nizak has any power, because the pasuk says Meitav Sedehu, to demand Meitav when the Nizak wants the Nizak wants to demand Meitav when the Mazik wants to give him a metaltalin. It's not true. We hold like Reb Papa that metaltalin is equal to Meitav, and you can give either one. That's how the Bach and the Drisha explained the tour. On the other hand, we had the base.
To clarify the chart, so the Nemuki Yosef is passing like Rav Papa Rav Yeshua, and the Rama and the Rambam are,
according to the Nemuki Yosef, the Rambam and the Ramah are all Rav Papa and Rabbi Yeshua.
And the Rif.
And the Rif also. What's the difference between them? How they understand Rav Papa. Let's go again. Remember, the way we were learning is that when the Gemara said, Kol mile meitafu, chutz mi'ara, because you can sell it, we said, oh, well, even Subin is called great because you can always get your money. If you're not going to get your money here, you're going to get somewhere else. But land is not great because you only have a few buyers around. So the Torah said, okay, if you want to pay in land, you have to give them the best land, and that will make up for the lack of buyers because everybody likes good land. That's how the Rush was learning. So that means that all three items were equal. Even though land intrinsically has fewer buyers, by demanding the best land, we compensated for the fewer buyers, and the excitement or the desire for the best land will make those few buyers around have the same have the excitement, and that will equal to the more buyers that you have when you have metallic one. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So then it became then everything leveled. Okay. That's how the Rush and the Rif let Papa. Okay, and we presume all the Rabbeinu Tam doesn't talk about it because he holds like Rafuna, but we assume everyone's learning Reb Papa that way, that there's you can use what the land lacked by the chesron of buyers, it made up by you giving them the best. So it'll be in the equation, it'll come out to be the same thing. The less buyers, but more excited because it's going to be a very good piece of land. So that's how the Rush learned. But the Nemuki Yosef, when he explained the Rambam and the Ramah to Reb Papa differently, and said that land always has the chesron, that you have few buyers, and the best land, when you give the best land, it's only when you don't have kesef or metaltalin. We'll discuss that little difference in a second. But in other words, land will always never really reach to the level of metaltalin. Now, even if it's the best, it'll never reach the level of metaltalin. But it is permissible as a payback, but only when. That's only when the Rambam said when you don't have kesef and you don't have metaltalin. And both of them will hold that. In other words, is that clear? It never really in the Gemara when it said Kol metaltalin is meitafu, land will never be equal to metaltalin. It'll always be given when you don't have metaltalin.
Right.
Now, the difference between the Ramah and the Rambam will come to kesef. Is kesef now even better than metaltalin or not? In other words, they both will agree that metaltalin, that meitav is you only give if you don't have kesef or metaltalin. They'll both agree with that. The only question is, the Ramah will say, but kesef can only, if you have kesef, you have to give it even if you have metaltalin kesef, you must give kesef.
Right.
Okay? So that's why I say he has a triple hierarchy. L'chatchila kesef, b'di'ev and metaltalin, and when you don't have kesef and metaltalin, only then can you give karka. Rambam, everyone is learning, and we'll have to explain why, that kesef and metaltalin are equal, and only when you don't have both do you give karka. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the chiddush of Nemuki Yosef, to make a hierarchy. And of course, we don't know where that comes from. We have to explain it. All he does is says that's what they hold. He just tells us that's the halacha. He does say exactly. He does give a svara, and he says, look, Reb Papa said everything that's more like kesef has a priority. So metaltalin is more like kesef than karka because you can get your kesef faster because you have so many, customers out there. So certainly kesef itself should be better than metaltalin because that's the thing that you want. What the Nizak really wants is money, so he can go buy the thing that was destroyed. So if already you're telling metaltalin is better than karka, so that's kesef has to be better than metaltalin, because that's the real thing. There you don't have to cash it in. You don't have to go to the next town. You have your money in your hand. So, but that he says in as a svara. Okay. He doesn't give a source for it. He just says that's a svara. And that's how he explains the Ramah's triple hierarchy. And the Rambam, he just says that metaltalin is better than, also holds metaltalin is better than karka, and that kesef is equal to metaltalin. So that's the setup here. Either Reb Papa holds all three things are equal, that's the Rif and the Rush, or he holds that land always remains the worst, and there's only a machlokes between the Ramah and the Rambam. Does money become a first priority over metaltalin or not? But they both hold that if you have money with metaltalin, you have to give it. Adkan, that's clear?
Yep.
Okay, so that's basically the setup of the Rishonim. Now, and that's the Nemuki Yosef who learns that in Reb Papa. We're going to see other people that are going to try to learn that in Rev Huna, okay? That's what we're going to see with the Shach. But that's the setup of the Rishonim that we have. When it came to the tour, okay, although I put the tour after the Rush, it's only historically because there's a machlokis what the tour holds. Is he really the Rush, that you can use all three things equal, or really he's the Rambam? Because he used similar lashon to the Rambam, not exactly the same lashon or not. So that's the big fight between the Bach and the Drish on one side, and the Beis Yosef and the Levush on the other side. Is the tour different than the Rush or not? So the Bach and the Drish say, come on, he's just the Rush. The fact that he mentioned that there's a preference of metaltalin over karka was only to tell you that if Isaac wants to give metaltalin, he can. And the Nisa can't yell, Meitav Sadehu, I don't want your metaltalin. So that's what we said, Yad Mazik El, which means the world stays as it is. The Rush is the tour. And we have no new excitement in the tour himself. Now, so that's clear, okay? But however, the Beis Yosef on the tour tells us that really the tour is saying that there's a preference of metaltalin over karka. Yeah, he really means it. But he doesn't quote the Rambam. He says that this is the tour's own learning. How did he get this learning? Because the tour made an equation between Baal Chov and Nezikin. Just like in Baal Chov, if the person has Kesef and metaltalin is closer to Kesef, he must give it. Anything that's closer to Kesef he has to give, because that's the din. So too, that law moves into Nezikin. Even though the Rush himself said there's no comparison between Nezikin and Baal Chov, because Baal Chov, the Malvi gave Kesef, he has a right to give it back. But the Beis Yosef says that the tour does make the equation between those two, and therefore, just like in Baal Chov, you have to give Kesef or metaltalin if you have it. So too in Nezikin. Okay, is that clear? So what he did was with the tour was he made a new, he explained the tour as there, in its simple pashat, which is that if you have metaltalin, you must give it. You can't give karka. Actually, the Nizak can demand it. That's what he said. If the Nizak wants it, he can accept it. He can accept anything he wants. But if the Nizak doesn't want your karka, he can say, I want metaltalin. Where does he learn it from? From a dimyon to Baal Chov. Okay, just like in Baal Chov, the Malva can demand metaltalin over karka because he gave money and he has a right to demand anything that's closer to money. So too in Nezikin. Okay, so that's how the Beis Yosef now handles the tour. Okay, whereas the Bach and the Drisha just put the Torah in the side of the Rush. The Beis Yosef and the Shushan say it's not true. The Torah is a new Shita that we haven't heard of. Okay, and unlike if I can, I didn't want to make the chart too complicated, but I guess we have to do it. The Torah is not the Rambam. The Torah is not the Ramah. The Torah is his own man. He's a Rishon. And he learns that there's a dimion between Malva and Nezikin, and therefore, just like in Malva, you can give everything that's close to the Kesef, so too you can do it in Nezikin. Okay? Beseda?
Yes.
Okay. Everything is good up to this point. Not good, but at least this is what the field looks like. This is what we're up to. And then the Beis Yosef writes his own Shulchan Aruch. Okay, he takes the form out of the Torah, but he decides Pesach, where the Torah, where he disagrees with the Torah, or where the Torah gives us various Rishonim and doesn't decide. He decides he's going to make one unified system and give Pesach, and he does. And here is the question: is he copies the lashon of the Rambam almost in its entirety, whereas in the Torah he doesn't say anything about this kesher based in tzarich ligvot. The Torah didn't say anything about the based in. Just said that you have a priority of Nezikin over Metaltalin. That was a machlokus. When it came to the Shulchan Aruch, the Beis Yosef clearly, the Reb Yosef Karo clearly quotes the Rambam verbatim, except for a few little grammatical changes. Okay, but again, we have this machlokus here of what did the Torah mean. So the Sma, who is Risha, insists that the Shulchan Aruch did not follow the Rambam or the Torah, and really he was only following the old system of Reb Papa. Okay, and we're talking about where, in order to read the Shulchan Aruch, he has to say, well, we're talking about a case where the mazik's not here. And therefore, the Beis Din has to decide what a mazik would want to give. And that's why the Torah says there's a preference of metaltalin over karka, because the Beis Din is trying to figure it out. So even though it's almost word for word the Rambam, the Sma pushes the Shulchan Aruch into his perception of the Torah, okay, even though the Beis Yosef, when he wrote about the Torah, did not say that, but into the old, let's call it the old world system of Reb Papa. That's what he did. He took the words of the Shulchan Aruch and he said, this is Reb Papa. So that's what he did. This Rebbe Shua Folk, who's the Drisha, he writes on the Torah. He put the Torah into the Rush and Reb Papa, and now he takes the Shulchan Aruch and he pushes him. He's called the Sma here, the same person, Rebbe Shua, and he takes the Shulchan Aruch and he also puts him into Reb Papa. Okay, so he wants to push both the Shulchan Aruch and the Torah into the world of Reb Papa, which means that you can give what you want as the mazik in return. And he has to change the language, and he does that accordingly. Now, the Shach comes on the scene, and that's where we're holding. What is the Shach? Go ahead.
They're going like Rav Papa, then they're saying everything is equal.
That's right.
Rav Papa
That's right. We're going exactly.
There's no preference to karka over metaltalin.
Exactly. No precedent at all. I mean, no president over one. No preference. Right. Everything is equal. Okay. So that's the that's why I say the old world view when the sun goes around the earth. I mean, that's everything stays the same. Everything is Reb Papa. Everything lines up with the Rif and the Rush. And no matter what language you use, says Reb Yeshua Folk, we're talking about that Shita, and that's the Torah, and that's the Shulchan Aruch also. That's what he says. Now, the Shach comes here and is going to really fight the Sma in the Shulchan Aruch, and really is going to fight him all the way up the line. He's going to say you missed the boat completely. The Tur and the Shulchan Aruch are really the Rambam, and there is a precedent of metaltalin over karka. And stop trying to make okimtas and push the text into, the Mazik's not around, the Mazik's claiming he wants metaltalin, all these dechukim that you tried to do in order to bring the halacha back to the Rosh and Reb Papa as we always knew him. It's not true. Really, the Tur and the Shulchan Aruch say that you must give metaltalin if you have it, even when you have karka. If you have karka metaltalin, you must give metaltalin first. When it came to kesef, so it's going to be the Rambam that kesef is equal to metaltalin. So basically, kesef and metaltalin are equal, and if you don't have them, then only then, in last position, can you give the meitav karka. That's what the shach is going to do. Okay, so he's going to bring us back into what the pashtus of the simple reading of the text, both the Tur and the Shulchan Aruch, and he's going to take all the proofs that the Bach and the Sma had to change the Tur and say that they're all, missed the boat completely, and they're pushing into the Tur the old Rosh Shita of equality when it doesn't belong there. Okay, so that's really the work of the Shach. Is that clear up to this point? Basically, he's going to read the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch and the Tur exactly as it says. If you have metaltalin, you have metaltalin and karka, you must give metaltalin. Unlike how we understood Rapa in the line of the Rush, okay, similar to the Nemuki Yosef, okay, but that's what he says. Okay, is that more or less clear? So basically, if we try to capture this in one line, is metaltalin given before karka? That's the question. That's all. Are they equal, or do you give metaltalin first? That's simply the question. So the people, the Bach will say they're equal, and the Drisha and the Sma will say they're all equal. Metaltalin is equal to karka. You can give them equally, and the Shach agrees. Okay. Not simple, huh? But you see here, this is why this is such a good demonstration, because it shows in each one of these levels. Are you with me, by the way? I got a little signal that I lost contact with you. Are you still there?
I'm here, but it's very fuzzy.
Yeah, I know. It's not happening. Okay, now she got a little better. I guess, everyone did tshuva on Yom Kippur and shut off their internet, except those people who are learning, and there has to be a lot of them now, I guess. Okay, whatever it is, that's what it is. Okay, so basically that's what's beautiful about this piece is that we see that there's these three variables, and we started off that they were all equal, and now we read the Tur, and he all of a sudden puts metaltalin in front of karka, and we want to know, is that dafka or lav dafka? That's all it is. And that's
right.
the debate in a nutshell. Okay, now, boom, more of these. Okay. Here's really the same chart, except all I did here was show going. Here's the shach here at this level, right?
Right.
Now, he's going to attack the Sma, who tried to say that the Shulchan Aruch says all three things are equal, and he's going to say, no way. The Shulchan Aruch holds that you have to give metaltalin before karka. He's going to then go back and attack the Bach, who took the Tur and also tried to push him into the equality of Reb Papa. And he's going to destroy the proofs, basically, Bach, and that's what he's going to do. Now, what is what is the chiddush here of the shach? It's very, very important. We need source. We said many times, once you try to make a simple what to do rabbi halacha book, and you don't give us, and you separate that from the source, so it becomes very hard to understand how you got to your conclusions. Okay, so the Rambam knew that, and he just didn't. Again, his idea was to get the people to do the halacha properly, and if he would have written all his sources, it would been so heavy that the scribes would have been writing a long time. I think he's before the printing press, isn't he? I think the printing press is around 1500, I think. But okay, so I mean the scribes would have been writing for years if you brought all his sources. So he wrote his Kitzer halacha, but that brought up all these problems. Where do you get your halacha from? Because after all, we're Masoretic Jews. You have to come from the Chumash, the Mishnah, the Gemara. You can't just say what you want to say. And the Rambam knows that very well, and he's a very, very high and scholarly individual. And the problem is we're left with this halacha that he gives us, the preference of metalflin over karka, and we don't know where he got it from. He didn't tell us. So, like so many times in the Rambam, the question is, where did he get his position? He could have gotten it from Yerushalmi, he could have gotten it from some other Gemara here or some other reading. So, the chiddush of the Shach is that he actually got from Rev Huna. That's the Shach's chiddush. So we said, how do you get it from Rev Huna? We read Rev Huna, said Kesef is equal to Meitav. And if you don't have both, then you give metalflin. How did you get the metalflin has a precedent over karka? It's just backwards. We've been learning that excuse me. Yes. We've been learning that karka and kesef both have a precedent over metalflin, right? He said, oh, kesef and meitav, and if you don't have both, only then can you give metalflin. Metalflin is the worst. Now, you want to say that metalflin is better than karka in Rev Huna? Wow, that's an unbelievable statement. How do you make a statement like that? Right? So that's basically where we were discussing the last time. And the Shach brings other people, first of all, who says it. He says there's other people that sets a precedent of metalflin over karka, like, the Nemuki Yosef. And that's a simple meaning of the Rambam, so you don't try to, make a kimtis in the Rambam. He said that there's a preference. And also, I'll show you the Rabbeinu Hananel says it, and the Rivan says it. So read the Rambam as he is. That's all. The Rambam says very clearly that there's a precedent of metalflin over karka. Now, how did he get it? Not from a Dimyon to Baal Chov. Not at all. He learnt Rev Huna's O as a hierarchical O. What does that mean? It was, Rev Huna said, you either give Kesef L'chatchila, and if you don't have Kesef, then you give Meitav. So this O, which normally, you look in Derek Tfunos, there's only two types of, mechubar, there's the ands and the O's, and there's only one type of O. It's or this or that. So, and they're equally, they're equal. But no, this O is called the L'chatchila B'diavad O. O Kesef L'chatchila, and only when you don't have Kesef B'diavad do you give Meitav. Then Reb Nachman comes over and says, well, wait a minute, what do you do with Yoshev? So Rav Huna says that's b'deleisle. When you don't have it. What's it? When you don't have kesef. When you don't have kesef, then you give metalflin. But ain't no chanami, kesef and metalflin are better than meitav. So that triple hierarchy is Rev Huna. But that's not the Rambam. The Rambam as they're learning, holds that Kesef is equal to Metaltalin. For that you have to go to Rav Papa, because Rav Papa holds that Kesef and Metaltalin are equal, and that's what he was fighting with Rav Huna. Okay, that wasn't so simple, but we'll go. Yeah, that's the shach. Here's the shach. Here's a little, I hope you see it. Not simple. Okay. Here's the Rambam and the shach, right? So Rav Huna held the three level priority because he said Kesef l'chatchila meitav b'di'evid. What do you do with metaltalin? That's when you don't have Kesef. But Eino Chanami, Kesef metaltalin is better than meitav, right? Rav Papa's only argument was Rav Huna was with the ratio of metaltalin, metaltalin and meitav. Excuse me, metaltalin and Kesef actually. So he'll say that Rav Papa will say metaltalin is equal to Kesef, but he'll agree that meitav is less. So I mean, if you've seen this chart, right? So both Rav Huna, the way we have to Rav Papa and Rav Huna, both Rav Huna and Rav Papa will hold that meitav is the worst. Okay, right. What are they really arguing about? The relationship of metaltalin to Kesef. Right. Whereas Rav Huna said metaltalin is less than Kesef, Rav Papa held that metaltalin is equal to Kesef, and the halacha is like Rav Papa, and that's what the Rambam's pesak. So they were really never arguing. I'll even move this down here to make it a little clear. They were really never arguing that meitav is the worst because you don't have all your customers. So even if the Torah allows it, but that it's only allows it b'di'evid. So that's a whole new a whole new way of learning. There's
But it was clear that Rambam held that Meitav was second, or was one of the Mefarshei Rambam?
No. Now, what's you see again? The Rambam says what he said. He says when the base din comes to collect, it collects from metaltalin l'chatchila, and only if you don't have metaltalin do you go to Meitav. That's what the Rambam said.
Okay, so then that's clear.
So they're saying the other people ran away from that Rambam and said, come on, the Rambam it's not talking, don't read it simply. The Baal Chov's not around. All these cases, the Baal Chov's not around. It's just trying to show that you can't get Meitav. All these okimtas they were doing. That's the Bach and the Sma. They were, making all these Kimtas. And even the Beis Yosef, he says that the Tur learned this precedent from Baal Chov. Okay. But the Shach says, let's leave the Rambam as he is. He said what he said, and I'm going to show you that he really holds. In the end of the day, he's holding like Rav Papa, and that's very good because remember, we want to end up with the Rambam holding like the Rif Basroi, at least, you know what I mean? We don't want those problems that we had with the Tosfos. According to this, he's holding like Rav Papa, and the only fight that he had with Rav Huna is the relationship of metaltalin to Kesef. Whereas Rav Huna said metaltalin is one step lower than Kesef, that's Rav Papa said metaltalin is equal to Kesef. Finished. But they both hold, Rav Papa and Rav Huna, that the worst thing is meitav, and it's acceptable when you don't have Kesef and metaltalin. That's the only time it's accessible. So this is a brand new look at Rav Huna, right? This is like all of a sudden the Earth is going around the sun. This is like we never read Rav Huna this way, right? Right. So, but that's how he reads it, and he says, look, don't think I'm making this up. I'll show you. I'll bring you proofs that there's other Rishonim that learn exactly this way in Rav Huna. But in order to do it, what's uncomfortable here is to say that when Rav Huna said, O Kesef O Meitav, he meant lichatchila and b'diavad. Normally an O is an equivalent. Equivalent. You can give A or B equally. But Rav Huna here is saying, no, give kesef lichatchila, and when you don't have kesef, you give meitav. What do you do with yashiv and metaltalin? That's when you don't have kesef. But Eno Hanami, kesef and metaltalin are very close to each other. So what's nice about, there's a lot of nice things about this. One nice thing is that we keep Rav Huna and Rav Papa in the same world, which is money is what we're talking about. We want to get money in the hands of the nizak. The only question is, how close is metaltalin to money? Everyone will agree that land, in order to get your money for your land, you have to put up signs for sale, and it's a whole big balagan. You have to go to the local people around, convince them to buy it. It's not easy to sell land. Even if it is the best land, okay, but it's not as easy as to sell movables, because you can always find someone in the shuk, by just going to another place. So they both agree, according to this reading, that land is the worst, and the Torah would only allow you to give meitav karka. I mean, Bainis and Zibris, forget about, but meitav is the worst way that the nizak can get his money back. And really, Rav Papa and Rav Huna are only arguing about how strong is metaltalin. Is metaltalin equal to kesef, or it's one step below? So we've, according to this reading, we've got everybody holding the same svara. That means Rav Papa and Rav Huna. They're holding the same svara, which is really supposed to give back money, and they're only arguing about the relationship of metaltalin to money. Is it closer to money or not? Okay. There's other nice advantages of this too. Because, okay, we'll get this is what people are going to be talking about. Okay, so I don't want to get involved in later people, so we didn't get to them yet. But that's the chiddush of the shach. It's to put the Rambam into Rav Huna Rav Papa Machlokes, to explain the or of Rav Huna as a lichatchila b'diavad, a hierarchical or, put metaltalin in the second place, and say to Rav Papa agrees that meitav is the worst, and they're just really arguing about metaltalin here. Is it equal to kesef or not? It's a very elegant solution. I mean, it's now we can explain the heavens and everything very, very nicely. And the only dochak that we had was this that turned to be a lichatchila and b'diavad. Usually O is equal, and all of a sudden here he said O kesef, and if you don't have it, then you give meitav. That was the only real dochak that we had to do it. The other interesting thing here, if I had to talk about our investigation here, is I would call it the problem of the indefinite pronoun. Right. What do I mean? We started talking about Sadehu, right? His field. We had this whole problem, is it the mazik or the nizak? Who's the who there, right? Now, when Rav Huna answers back Rav Nachman, and he says, B'delei, the question is, who is the lay? Who is, when you don't have it, what is the it? So Rashi said the it is when you don't have kesef and meitav, then you give metaltalin. That's what the it is. The it is it, or it says lay, it should say. But that's how Rashi learned. When you don't have it, kesef and metaltalin, then you give that was the right. Okay, then right. Okay, so, but the it, according to the Shach, is that no, when you don't have kesef, then you give metaltalin. That's the it. It's not kesef and metaltalin. And Rashi said very clearly, it was very nice, because Rashi's like a nishmami from that parish. Rashi had to spell out that les lay meant both of them. What was he nishma? What parish was he nishma from? A parish like this. Maybe you'll think that, but the les lay is only talking about kesef. Okay. All right, but anyway, that's the excitement of this piece. This was when you first look at the Rambam and you think he's out to lunch. Why? Because you've read Rashi, and you've read the Rif, and you've read the Rush, and the world seemed very clear that Rav Papa hold everything was equal, and Rav Huna said that Kesef and Meitav is better than Metaltalin. Then all of a sudden you see this Rambam, you say, wow, he just flipped the world around there. He's down, hey, the world is circling the sun. What's going on here? How could that be? It sounds like he's, just, a mystic. So he's saying to you, I am not a magician, I am a logician. That's my new little funny phrase.
Very good.
You know Rav Chaim's father, Rav Chaim Brisk's father.
Rav Belvo.
I always mix them up. No, it's not Belvo. It's
the Brisker Rav was.
the Brisk.
No, the Brisker Rav. Rav Chaim's father.
The Brisker. Yeah, the Brisker Rav. Yeah. So once he wanted to raise some money from one of the Gevirim there. So he said to his students, I want him to see me, because he never gave money to the yeshiva. So he said to him, look, he only gives to Hasidim. He doesn't give to Litvak's yeshiva. He says, I want to speak to him. So they go and they ask, look, it's not, what's his name? Yeah. Why does it slip my mind? The Brisker Rav, anyway. So he says, he comes in, and he asks the Gevir, he says, well, how come you don't give to my yeshiva? How come you only give to the Hasidic Rebbes? He says, look, it's very, very simple. I go to them and they do moftim, they do wonders. And you don't do any wonders. You just don't do any mofsim. So obviously I give to them. So he says, mofsim, is that the problem? He says, I'll do a mofes. He says, take out 100 shekels, 100 rubles, okay? And you see this heavy table? I want you to put that 100 rubles under the leg of this heavy table, and without hands, I am going to make that appear in the palm of my hand, without moving my hands at all. I'm going to hold my palm, and you'll see that it's going to come into my hand. If I do that, will you give the yeshiva a nice donation? He says, Rabbi, if you can do that, that's what I'm interested in. He says, okay, you ready? They put up the table. They put the 100 rubles there under the table's leg. He sticks out his hand, and he says, Chaimki, pick up the table and put the 100 ruble note in my hand. So the Gevir says, what? That's not a mofet. He says, look, to get money from you this is called a mofet. No one else can get money for you. It was a miraculous. But although that's the joke I hear. But the point is, again, these people are not magicians, they're logicians. Not wonder workers, they're logicians, okay? Now, it's always uncomfortable when you deal with logicians. It's much easier when you deal with magicians, because you get the result, and it doesn't matter how it happens. But the idea of learning is it has to be logical. If you look at the Gemara, and you look at the Rishonim, and you look at the Shul, everybody's speaking logical. There's no one here that's got a blitz from Hashem and is telling you, this is what I say, do what I say. Okay. Now, of course, you have to do what I say. I mean, no one's saying no, but I mean, but there's always a source, a logical source. So this shacht that we're doing is a logical way of handling Rav Huna, but it's uncomfortable because it's based on learning Rav Huna as as being kesef, l'chatchila, adding the words l'chatchila, and only then b'diavad, which is not the simple way that we would understand the Gemara, and it's not the simple way that Rashi understood the Gemara. However, not everything is simple, and they're going to have to prove this point. And one of the shach's moves here that we have to get to is to show that there is an equation between metathlon and kesef. Okay, he's going to show that other people learn this hierarchy. Don't jump on. You have to now jump on the rach, and that's the whole foundation of the Sephardic Masorah is really from Rabbeinu Hananel. He learns that way, and the Rivan, who's good Ashkenazi from Germany, learns that way, and I'll show you other people, Muki Yosef. So there's a lot of people. So just because you happen to favor Rashi because he's on the page of the Gemara, I don't know if you said he got to the page of those early periods of time, but just because it's more comfortable to you learn an equal or doesn't mean that that's the reality. I mean, the reality is that the earth does circle the sun, so not what you see, but that's what it is. But that's the difference. That's it. So we're dealing here with logicians here, and when a logician does what he does, it's also a moftate. I mean, we're talking to each other because of logical consequences, right? All these things are laws. There's no, I'm not a wonder Rebbe. I'm talking to you because, we have people 2 and 2 is 4, and there's a scientific understanding of how computers work and how internet works, and people put 2 and 2 together. There's no mystics here, so it's the same thing. And the world that we live in is the world of Peshat and the world of logic and the world of reason. And that's the world of our Masorah, really. And that's what everybody's doing, and from Har Sinai all the way down to the Shulchan Aruch. Everyone's being very, very rational. Okay, so however, sometimes it turns out uncomfortable. Clap your hands, Chaimki, put the thing. Come on, that's not called a wonder. Well, get money from you is called a wonder. It's wonders. No one else could do it. Anyway, that's I think the joke sort of that they say in his name. So I think it brings up the point here. Logic is also mystical in a certain way, The fact that I'm talking to you is the mysticism of logic. Everything that's been done here is perfectly logical. 2 and 2 is 4. It just so happens that it's also a mystical reality. When you put all those 2 and 2s and 4s, and I'm talking to you, you're a few thousand miles away, and we're talking as if you're next door, and right next to me. Amazing. Okay, so that's where we were holding in this shach here. Okay. All right. So, okay. So, what did the shach do here? Here's the shach again. Here he is. So, he said he says to the Bach and to the Sma, I know how you're learning. That's very nice. You insist that the whole world just exists is the Rush and the Rif, but that's Rambam, and that's really what he says to them. And he says first he quotes people, which is a good thing. He says, "Look, I'm not doing it myself." The Nemuki, if the Ram pushed it in the Rambam, then he brings a proof from the Rambam that when you wanted to say the Mazik's not around. Come on, when the Mazik's dead, he's certainly not around, and the Beis Din doesn't give Metatlin to the Yisomim. According to you, the Beis Din could say, well, if he was here, what would he give? He would give Metatlin. So how come they don't do it in that case? And the Rambam, to everybody else, in Pesach that way. Okay. Now, he explains also beautifully that the reason why you're constantly trying to take the Torah and the Shulchan Aruch and put into the world of the Rush and the Rif, that's because that's what they hold, that you can give what you like. But the Rambam is not that. Okay, and we were going through this list of proofs that he had. Now, the first one, again, is a long introduction because it's very, very subtle, and this is going to be the stage for the next few hundred years. I mean, this is the Vilna Gaon and the Nachlas David and the Eben Azal, which we will be doing, really are all focused on the Shach. Of course, the Shach is very clear about what he does, and they're either going to be friends, foes, or adjusting what he has to say. Like he went a little too far. But so we have to get this set up, and we're going to be coming back to him as we read the later people, because he's what we call the Baal Soda over here. He's the man who explained the Rambam in his most pashtus way. Okay, so here's the shach that we were doing. He brought the Baal HaTruma, but it's called Sefer HaTruma, but the Baal HaTruma just means this is the author, but it's called Sefer HaTruma. And there, the Sefer HaTruma brings Rabbeinu Hananel. And Rabbeinu Hananel says a very, very interesting thing. We actually looked at him. Let's look at Rabbeinu Hananel again. Here's Rabbeinu Hananel. On Rav Papi, he says, on Rav Huna, he says, Me'hacha sheminin delo maslikinan bal lebal chov ba'ara elahecha dekamle deleis leizuz elimra. Very, he quotes, he's on Reb Papa, this Rach, the Rabbeinu Hananel. He says he's on Rav Huna. This Rabbeinu Hananel is quoting, is on Rav Huna. O Kesef, O Meitav, and if you don't have delay, then you give whatever you give. Well, we're going to see how he learns it. But look what this from our Rav Huna, he learns the following thing. In the case of Chov,
so who's quoting this Rach, the Shach?
This is the Sefer Truma. Okay, but actually it's the Rach. If you look on the page, we also have him on the page. I don't know why I did it because he quoted it here. This is the book called Sefer Truma here. I did the whole, here's a Sefer Truma Shardal. Okay, so this is the actual text, but actually it's on our page of the Gemara also. I have to go. Okay, yeah, if you look on the Gemara on Rev Huna, you'll see that he's over there. Okay, but whatever it is, look what he says. He says, from this Rev Huna we learn that the Baal Chov has to give Kesev. What does he say? Mehocha shemin de lo masing le Baal Chov ba'ara hela echa de kamlan de leis le zuze. That's what he says. He says, we hear from Rev Huna that we don't give the lover can't pay back with land if he has money. Right? Now, how did you get that from Rav Huna? In other words, there's a precedent over Kesef, over Karka. That's he learns from Rav Huna. Right?
Right.
As we says, aval kimlan de islay Kesef. Mamish. Exactly.
So he gets that from Rav Huna because the only one we ever saw that has to go and return money is a leiva, because it's svara that he took from the malva money, so he has to return money. And Taisus has said that he has to go and sell in order to acquire the cash. But we never saw anybody that said that by mazik.
Exactly. This is a revolutionary concept that Rabbeinu Hananel is saying. Remember, Rabbeinu Hananel there's Rabbeinu Gershon for the Ashkenazim, Rabbeinu Hananel. He's the foundation. From him comes the Rif and the Rimagash and the Rambam. They all come from that line. He's like very close to the Gaonim. So he's a powerful source. Look what he says. Now the Shach says, wait a minute. Here is a direct quote of Rabbeinu Hananel that he learns from a case of Rav Huna that if you have Kesef and Karka, you must give Kesef. How could you possibly?
So let's read Rav Huna again. I just haven't had the Gemara in front of me.
Yeah. You have the Gemara in front of you? Or should No, Rav Huna. Were you going to Gemara?
Yeah, Gemara.
Okay.
One second.
Do you have it? If not,
I have it right here.
Yeah, good, very good.
He said, so okay, so it's O Kesef Omeitav. Now, we're assuming that the Rach is not learning the oil like the Shach, right?
Just the opposite. The Shach is bringing the Rach to prove his point.
Oh, his Shach is bringing the Rach to prove his point. Okay, so that means so Eser Rav Rav Huna. So Rav Huna said O Kesef Omeitav. So if you're learning like the Shach, that means you're reading O Kesef Omeitav. That means it's either or. And then we have the question of Rav Nachman Rav Huna.
No, not either or. If you're learning like the Shach, it's called a hierarchical or. L'chatchila b'diavad law. It's O Kesef l'chatchila, and if you don't have Kesef, then and only then can you give Meitav.
So Eser of Rav Nachman Rav Huna says Yashal Rav Shabbat Kesef Afilu Sudin.
Wait. We're just in that point. Just that point. What does the Rach want to say about Baal Chov? What are the two variables that the Rach is using in Baal Chov? Okay, I'm sorry, just flipping. In Baal Chov, the Rach want to prove. Okay, 1 second. I'm just trying to get the place. I got all mixed up here in my paper here. Here it is. Here's the Trumas Hadeshin. Here's the. I'm sorry. Here. Mehacha shaminan the lo misalchin the Baal Chov ba'ara ela hecha de kamlan de leis le zuze lemifra. Aval kamlan de isle kesev mechayiv lefro bekesev. First of all, what are the two variables that the Rambam that the Rach is talking about? I mean the two variables. So we have three. We have Meitav, Kesev, and Shavet Kesev. What is he talking about? Okay. First of all, he's talking about the case of Baal Chov. Let's put that aside for 1 second. Okay. Let's put that. He's talking about Baal Chov. But what relationship is he trying to establish about Baal Chov?
That Baal Chayiv, you could not, you don't pay land first, you pay kesef first. If he doesn't have kesef, then you can pay with land. Stop.
Okay, so the only two variables that we're talking about here is kesef and land, correct?
Not metalton, correct.
We're not talking about metalton yet. Kesef and land. He's saying in Baal Chov is kesef first, land second, correct?
Right.
He learns that from Rav Huna. What did Rav Huna say? What was his first statement?
O kesef, o meitav.
Did he say that kesef is before meitav? That's what he wants to learn, doesn't he?
Rav Huna himself did not say it. I mean, unless, again, you have the o kesef, o meitav.
All he said was o kesef and meitav. From here, we learn that the Baal Chov pays with kesef before meitav.
Right.
How do you hear it from Rav Huna? The hierarchical O.
Right. But how did the Rach know that Rav Huna is talking about Baal Chov?
No, that's another question. That's another very interesting question. Okay? And the answer is he doesn't hold like the Rush. The Rush says that Baal Chov is a different case than Nezikin. The Rach says it's the same case as Nezikin. If you remember, the Beis Yosef and the Tur also said Baal Chov is the same case of Nezikin. He disagreed. That was the Beis Yosef said that the Tur disagreed with the Rush. So here we have the Rabbeinu Hananel saying that Baal Chov is equal to Nezikin. And since they're equal, what happens in the Zikin, the hierarchical or, happens in Baal Chov.
Right.
That's the Shach. The Shach says, look, don't think that I'm out to lunch by a hierarchical or. You know?
Hananel is agreeing.
Is
that what he's saying?
Yes. Rabbeinu Hananel says it. Don't attack me. If you have a problem, you go attack Rabbeinu Hananel. But he says it. He learns the hierarchy that Kesef is better than Meitav from Rav Huna. And he learns that Baal Chov is equal to Nezikin. Now, you have some problems about learning Rav Huna that way, because according to you, there's only one type of O, an equal type of O. That's fine. I understand what you're saying. You know, I understand Rashi. I understand the Rif. I understand the Rush. But But that's Rabbeinu Hananel here talking, not me. Don't think I invented it. Rabbeinu Hananel did it.
Oh, I'm looking at the Rach.
Yeah, please.
It sounds like the Rach is coming off of I mean, I think the Rach understands that we're talking about Nezikin. And from what it says by Nezikin, he's inferring to what the din is by Baal Chayv.
Beautiful.
Right?
Exactly. 100%. Go to the head of the class. Exactly.
I'm looking. I was just looking at it. And
No, it's very good to read it. You have to read inside because.
As we're talking, I'm flipping back and forth.
Very good.
I never before, but I have a subscription to Bar Ilan, to the online sponsor.
Yeah.
So I never realized that they have links to everything. Maybe it's new, or maybe I just never saw it before. But when you bring up a page of Gemara, it links to everything. It links to there are links in it to all the halachas, and it brings you right to the Shulchan Aruch Torah. And then they have links on the side to all the mafarshim, and you could just keep on linking forever.
I've been doing it for years. I'm glad they finally caught up to me. But also, this is the technology now is here, and they're doing it. I mean, kol hakavod, that's what they're doing.
And they also have on the bottom of the link for each person a biography.
Well, there it is. You can say you saw it first.
So,
they only have a few $1 million and a whole university of people working for nothing. That's not right. Oh, there's this other person who's doing it, and you probably heard of it, called the Gemara Brewer. My wife showed me an article. I've seen it before. He had $2 million that he invested in basically charting what I'm doing, but he's using more of there's certain flow charting tools that are out there. Well, he had people, anyway, he moved the standard flow charting tools into Gemara, and he's making charts, with this program. Okay, it only cost him $2 million. But I think what I'm doing is much simpler, and you don't have to, spend any money doing it. I mean, that's the whole idea of this. But that's what's happening. It's all being pushed by it's being pushed by the technology.
Right.
If I didn't have Visio. But anyway, there it is. So what is yeah.
So this Rach, he's missing like sort of it's not taken out of context. He's just taking one line of it. When you look at the whole Rach,
yeah,
I think it clarifies it a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read you the Rach. So he starts with saying, Rav Huna Amar, and there's in brackets there for some reason. It says, Had Amar Papa Rav Huna Bredi Rav Yeshua. I don't know why he's putting that in. I guess that depends on the machlokes.
That's so... Oh, that's how we started the whole discussion. This is getting deeper and deeper.
Right?
That goes back over here, you see, what they're arguing about. You see.
Would you like to see my screen?
I can hear it. Leave it. Talk. I'd like to keep the screen here that I have, because this is what they're doing. They're setting up the machlokas for Papa Rav Huna, right, just like we spoke about.
Like, he says, Kol mila meitavhu, lav dafka, ella ay kesef ay meitav. Va'isav alei Rav Nachman, yashuv l'Rav Asher kesef, that's the question, uparakle, hachla mayaskinon, b'dolesle. Okay, so he sort of just summarizes the Gemara. V'amar lei Rav Nachman b'dolesle.
Yeah, but all those lays and lays and lays is what is going to be spelled out by the Shach there. It's very, very important.
The Amri Inchi, Mimare Rishusach Pari Efra.
When someone owes you money, accept Subin. That's what that means.
So in other words, he's quoting that Gemara that says over there that Rav Nachman, who's asking the question here, and he's saying Yashul Rabbi Sheva Kesef was Subin, and we're talking about what he doesn't have. So he's referencing to the Gemara over there, where Rav Nachman says, "B'Galeslei Pshita Da'ami Inchi Memory Rishusach Pari Efra." And Rav Huna is saying, no, I would have thought Zil Tarach Zavan Ba'Yisrael Kesef Kamashma on the way. That's the Chiddush over here in Yashiv. To tell you, Yashiv tells you don't have to go and sell in order to bring Kesef. So
right.
That means if you say that Yashiv is a Chiddush in Nezikin, that means where it's not Nezikin, it's Pashat you have to sell to bring. Yashiv means the Mifrei. Aval is Leimais, Mechayvin Mifrei. now it makes more sense because you see that he's learning that the Chiddush in Rav Huna, in Yashiv, the way he's answering Rav Nachman, is that you don't need to exchange your land for kesef. Mashma, somewhere else you do. Right? Is that
Not exactly.
no?
No, because his problem is not metaltalin. His problem is his problem. Where do you see that you give? Where do you see in Rav Huna that if you have kesef, you have to give it over karka? He says from here we see that in Balchov, if you have kesef and karka, you must give kesef.
Okay, so
how do we see that?
Mehasham again. So he's Mehasham in the lemon sakin labalchev ba'ara. Why? Oh, so the way you see it is because of Yashiv. The way I am understanding the way the Rach is learning.
How do you see you give Yashiv before Ara?
Right. Okay. Because Rav Huna says I kesef I meitav.
Yes.
Right, and then you have a pasuk of Yashiv which says you could even give subin.
Yes.
And his answer to that is Mazatev Amina Zil Tarach Zavin Va'isi Le Kesef Kamashma Delay.
You might have thought, spell that out, that you
might have thought that in a case where he doesn't have Kesef, you have to go and sell your karka to give him Kesef because Kesef is the requirement, it's the best thing to give.
No, but this is now slowly. So this is an answer to Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman says, what do you do with Yashiv?
Right.
So what does it have to do with karka? It has to do with Yashiv. You might think you have to go out and sell your metaltalin and give him kesef. The answer.
But I mean Medayik in the way he's quoting.
Yeah.
Doesn't say Zavin. What? Again, you're
Yeah.
He just says Zavin. So maybe
Yes.
the Rach is understanding that Rav Huna is coming to tell you the Chiddush in Yashiv is on a sale, is on kesef and a sale. And
Explain it. Spell it out. Spell it out to me. What does that mean? You might have thought that you should deal.
You might have put. You must give kesef. You must sell whatever property.
Metaltalin and meitav. Metaltalin and meitav. He only asked him about metaltalin after all. He only Yashiv.
No, but the problem is that so what is so? No, but now that it says Yashiv, the Yashiv tells you that you don't have to sell. That's what he's learning.
You don't have to sell your metaltalin.
You don't have to sell your karka either. The question is, what is Yashiv coming to tell you? He already said, Rav Huna says, I know the din already is that Rav Huna said the din without the pasuk of Yashiv. He said, I kesef, I made that. Right?
Now you're saying, just one second. Let's go slowly. When Rav Huna, you could read the Rach inside. When he says, oh, kesef meitav, you're maintaining that it's an equal, two equal alternatives?
So the problem is that he says it. Rav Huna
Where does it? Yes.
Kol ili meitav hu lav dafka. He says that kol mila meitav hu. I don't know what that means. Lav dafka.
What's kol mile? First of all, 1 second, slowly. Who used the term kol mile?
That's really Rav Papa and Rav Huna Rav Yeshua.
Exactly. They said it.
Oh, so that's why he's putting in the brackets here. If you read it with the brackets, it reads much better.
Exactly.
That's why. Like this. You read Rav Huna Amar Had Amar Rav Papa Rav Huna Rav Yeshua kol mila meitav hu kama lav dafka. So this, the Rav Papa Rav Huna Rav Yeshua said that everything is meitav, is lav dafka. Ella ay kesef ay meitav. Now the problem is, what's he coming to tell you? He has to tell you something. So if you read that he's going back on Rav Papa Rav Huna Rav Yeshua, and he's coming to tell you that what Rav Papa Rav Huna Rav Yeshua said is lav dafka, and they said kol mila meitavu, and he's coming to tell you ay kesef ay meitav, that means he's coming to exclude something. So what's he excluding from kol mila meitav if he's saying ay kesef ay meitav? So it must be he's coming to exclude So it must be coming to exclude that not everything is meitav. That first you give kesef and then you give meitav.
This is a question of definition, and this is exactly what they're going to be talking about. This is what we have to talk about slowly. What does that line mean? That's a critical line.
Right.
Does it mean, when he said kol mile meitav, is kesef defined as meitav? And what Reb Papa is saying, that, you know something, not only is kesef defined as meitav, but kol mile meitav, even subin? I mean, again, read that line again. What does he say? Read the Rachan side.
So again, the Rach starts with saying Rav Huna Amar, and here's the beginning of the brackets. Hada Amra Papa Rav Huna Bred Rav Yeshua Kol Mila Meitavu Lav Dafka.
Means, what could mean that kol mila meitav, that means that metalton is equal to kesef.
Right.
But you see, but then it won't work. Keep reading, then it's not going to work. If we say that that's true, let's just say that that's true for argument's sake. I'm just trying to understand how the Shach is reading. So let's say that according to Reb Papa, metalton is equal to metalton is good as kesef. It's meitav, right? Right. So then, what is this lav dafka business? It's not really as good.
Right.
Keep reading though. Let's see if it fits in the words.
Ella.
Yeah.
So now Ella is coming to tell you what it's not.
Right.
Now it's lav dafka. Ella, well, I mean what it is. It's Ella oi kesef, oi meitav. Maybe he's excluding metalpolin.
Yeah. Well. Or including meitav.
No, but he says kol mili meitavu. Kol mili meitavu means that everything is meitav. He's going on the word kol mili meitavu. What is and he's saying the word kol mili meitavu is lav dafka. What does he understand? What does the Rach understand? And Rav Papa and Rav Huna Bred Rav Yeshua. Let me see if I could pull up that Rach over there quickly. If there's a Rach over there. Where'd it go? How come it disappeared? Rabbeinu Hanano on Zion. No, it didn't come.
He adds, Rav Huna adds, Rav Papa said that kol mile is meitav, right? Meaning, and not meitav karka. Kol mile, that means all metalton. Let's translate the word mile, okay? It's a very hard word. Let's say kol mile means all metalton. Rav Papa said all metalton is called meitav, right?
Right.
And Rav Huna said lav dafka.
Lav dafka.
That means, what did he come to add? Meitav karka is also called meitav. What did he come to add? He came to add, he said, o kesef, o meitav. So kesef, everybody agrees is meitav, right? But we thought only kesef and kol mile is called meitav. And meitav karka is not, or karka is not. That's what we said.
Well, here's the Rachan of Zayman and Beis.
Yes.
Yoshev metaltalei ninhu v'chol metaltalei meitav karinan bay.
See, this is a very this is going to be a very difficult because with those words added in, without those words added in, this is a very little, this is difficult rach.
The Eloi mizavin b'hai asra mizavni ba'asra achrina levad mi karka delitin le mi meitav ki hechi delokpaitzalei zivina. So Yashiv is metaltalin. So when it says Yashiv, it's coming to tell you that Yashiv is metaltalin, because all metaltalin is called meitav, except for karka. So in other words, it sounds like what the Rach is learning in Rav Papa and Rav Yeshua, that the pasuk is telling you a chiddush, and metaltalin and meitav are the same, because metaltalin can be sold anywhere. So memela it's meitav. Karka, there's no such thing as all karka meitav. There's a particular category called meitav, and you're limited to the karka called meitav when you want to pay it back.
So when it comes to metaltalin, all metaltalin is the same, and it's all called meitav.
Right.
And when it comes to land, only meitav karka is called meitav.
Right. So now if we read the Rabbeinu Chanel back on Daf Tes Amud Aleph, where it says, Rav Huna Amar, Hadam Rav Papa Rav Huna Beis Rav Shul Kol Mila Meitavu, meaning to say that all metaltalin is meitav.
Even subin, right?
Even subin, lav dafka.
Now why do you say lav
dafka? I meitav. Oh, so now it makes sense. Now he's saying that, no. I want to say, Rav Huna is saying, I want to tell you, Rav Papa Rav Huna Beis Rav Yeshua, that you cannot say that all metaltalin is meitav. The only thing that's equal to meitav karka is kesef. I kesef, I meitav. Now, and without seeing the shachar, so I would have learned this. Now that I look back at the Rabbeinu Chananel and Daf Zayin, and I'm able to understand what he meant when he's quoting Rav Papa, Kol Mila Meitavu, and he's saying it's lav dafka. The word Kol Mila Meitav that he explained in Daf Zayin means metaltalin, that all metaltalin is meitav. Comes along Rav Huna and saying, no, you can't say Kol Mila Meitav. That means metaltalin is meitav. The only thing that is equal to karka is kesef.
Okay, so in effect, what you've just done is said that the Rach is like we always read him. In other words,
right.
there's no chiddush here in the Rach. In other words, there's no new world here. This is the old world, right? Because Rav Huna, you thought that metaltalin was called meitav, right?
Right.
And the answer is, it's not true. It's not meitav. The only thing that's meitav is kesef or meitav karka. Right? Wait, Josh,
right.
You don't have both.
That is also a very interesting word.
Mm-hmm.
If he wanted to come and say, and argue with Rav Papa and Rav Huna Beis Rav Yeshua's explanation of meitav, and say that Rav Papa and Rav Huna Beis Rav Yeshua, you're saying that there is something else equal to karka, and that is all metaltalin is equal to karka, and he's coming to argue and say that I want to say a whole new pshat. Rav Huna is coming to say that karka is really on a lower level. He would have to use a much harsher word than lav dafka, no? The lav dafka is going on what else is called meitav besides karka. He's saying Rav Papa and Rav Huna Beis Yeshua is saying meitav is metaltalin and kesef, and he's saying no, it's not dafka metaltalin. It's only kesef.
Let's say that again. Last one. Repeat. Just said now.
It's lav dafka metaltalin and kesef. That's equal to karka. But Zak Rav Huna, that only kesef is equal to karka. So it's lav dafka that kol mile is meitavu, including karka, is including metaltalin. But only kesef. I think what I'm trying to say is that because according to the way I have this bracket here, that he's going off of Rav Papa, Rav Huna Beis Rav Yeshua, that they're coming to say that that kesef and that metaltalin and karka, meitav, are equal. It's hard to say that he's arguing two steps away. Not only is he arguing with what is called meitav, but he's also arguing and saying that the preference is also an argument. He would have to use a much stronger lashon than lav dafka.
Yeah. Now it's very interesting that the Shach did not quote this part of the Rach. So either he has an alternative reading. I mean, he doesn't want to hide anything from us. He also knows we can read the Rach.
Right.
But it's in. In other words, I agree with you. We can read this Rach as we've, like everyone else, right? That really, Rav Huna is saying, don't think that just what's called Meitav is Kesef and Metaltalin. Also, Karka is called Meitav.
Right.
But then, like I said.
So now, if we want to read it like the way the Shach is reading it, so he's really focusing on the mashmais of the Rach. The Rach says, from this sugya, there's a mashmais that, with regard to Baal Chayv, you cannot give Ara, except where he doesn't have Kesef. But if he has money, you have to pay with Kesef, or to sell something to bring
sell your Ara and give him Kesef.
Right.
So that's what the Shach quoted. He said, how did he get a preference of Kesef over Meitav from Rav Huna? According to you, the way you're reading, you just read it, that Kesef is equal to Meitav, he'll say to you.
Right, okay, so again, so he says, Mehasha minan, the loy misalkin la bal chayv ba'ara b'shumel hechadekin lon, the less loy b'mois, lemifra'e. Avol I es le mois, m'chayvin le lemifra'e, ay le zvunehu, v'asvi le ma'isa. Yesh misha aimer, hani mili ben ezikin. There are those who say that this din, that you must give kasef, is only by Nezikin, the Ksibuh Meitav. Heidegger says, Perkan Kaisav Le'ishtoi, Amalei Rapapal Rav Chamav, Vadai Amrisa Mishmei de Rav, Man de Masik Zuzi B'charev, Amalei Shkol Min Arata, Amrin Le Zil Zavin Va'aisilei, Amalei Loi, Hasam Nami Bidekim Lon Bei de Leslie Zuzi.
Okay, we have to get in. No, we have to get into all those cases. But basically, he's going to say, don't. That was a kasha that he's removing, right? And you could say that still kesef is greater than meitav. So the question the Shach asks here is, how did the Rach learn that in Baal Chov there's a precedent of Kesef over Meitav, according to the way you're reading Rav Huna? According to the way you're Rav Huna, there is no precedent. Kesef or Meitav is equal. Right? And the only problem is Metaltalin, I suppose.
Right.
Well, actually, there's two problems here. You see, we have to be clear about this, and that's a simple. There's two problems. First, Rav Huna says, Kesef and Meitav. Then Rav Nachman asks him about Yoshiv. And then he says V'leslei. Okay, so there's a starting position of Kesef and Meitav. What does that mean? Okay, right. Lav Dafka. And then there's the Kasha and Teretz when it comes to Yoshiv. Okay, so his point, and again, people are going to talk. We're going to have to think about this deeply because he knows you're going to look at the beginning of the rock. He's not a fool here. But what he says is, how can you explain from Reb Huna's words that Kesef is greater than Meitav, and then we can apply it to Baal Chov?
Right.
Rav Huna is talking about, and he talks Yesh Mishomer, that kasha that you just brought up, Yesh Mishomer, that we're saying is only in the Zikin, but in Baal Chov it's different. But I'll show you that you don't have to say that. So he's making an equation again, very roughly, between the Zikin and Baal Chov, right? And he's saying from here, this Rav Huna, you see that you have to give Kesef when you have Karka. So the Shach is saying, well, wait a minute. Okay, you'll tell me the way you're learning now that Kesef is equal to Meitav. So then how did the Rach say that that we learn from Rav Huna that there's a precedent of kesef over meitav. Where did he see that in Ezekiel?
Right.
Where did he see it? Now we're going to have to talk about the second stage about the metaltal, and even the first stage you said lav dafka. That was a hard one, right?
Right.
How is he going to learn that lav dafka? But his point is, wait a minute. Whatever you're going to say, explain to me, if you're learning the way you're learning, which is that kesef is equal to meitav, that's what it means, lav dafka. You thought that kesef metalton was only called meitav, right? Because meitav is imlo zavan hasa zavan mamirachrisa. Okay, that's what Papa said. So those two things are equal. Whatever. I'll tell you that's lav dafka. Even meitav is also meitav karka is also called kesef,
right?
And they're equal alternatives.
Right.
Okay. Then what do you do with yashiv? Bidel lesle. However, we're going to answer lesle. We have to go through all those steps very carefully. But he says to you in the bottom line, where did Rabbeinu Hananel say that kesef has a priority over meitav? Where did you see it? In the end, he says we're learning it from here. Where? How can you? The two cases are equivalent. Rav Huna just said, kesef or meitav. He didn't say kesef before meitav.
Right.
So how did he get the kesef in front of meitav?
Yep. All right, it's getting a little bit late.
Okay, Beseda, we have what to think about. Okay.
You don't realize that you changed the clock.
Oh yeah. Change the clock, right? Exactly.
It's already 11:15.
Wow. What time is it now? Where are you? 11:15?
11:15, yes.
Oh wow. Okay. I thought we started earlier.
I'm excited about this rach here, so I figured, I didn't have any meetings to run to, so I figured we'll just.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. We have to learn. Okay, great. I mean, we have to, we have to think about this. Okay. We understand the shocks at the end, but we can't put together what he said in the beginning. And we understand how he wants to read Rav Huna. So we have to put that together very clearly in our heads. That's the work. Okay, great. But one second.
Next week is Chol Hamoed.
I'm fine for Chol Hamoed if you are. I mean, I don't know where you're holding. You're going to be home?
No, I'll be home. Yeah. 9:30 in the morning should be okay. I should be fine 9:30 in the morning. Will I be home from shul 9:30?
We can do it a little later. For me, it's the afternoon, so I just stop in Mincha earlier, and then I have, till Ma'ariv.
You don't go to any Chol Hamoed trips?
I'm like a little fixated on this Gemara. I just
okay. Yeah, so let's figure 10 o'clock, and then we'll see how much my kids are bringing down my neck to go.
Oh yeah, exactly. Go around. You see, that's another thing. My Baruch Hashem, all my kids are married, so then they don't need my entertainment.
But usually my kids don't roll out of bed until who knows what time of day after the Yom Tov. So.
Okay, so look, send me an email when it's comfortable for you. I'm very flexible, okay, because I'm around. So, great. Okay, wonderful work.
Very good. So have a good Yom Tov and enjoy Sukkot in Eretz Yisrael. I'm going to miss it this year.
Yeah.
But,
and it's going to miss you too.
I know.
Eretz Yisrael wants all those good Yidden to come back. You have to get all. It's happening. Okay. It's happening. I heard that he said. I don't listen to them. My wife told me that the Iranian was speaking on Yom Kippur and. Could you believe it? What Hashem is saying? It's nuts. What's going on here? When you look at it in terms of Chazal, this is crazy. This lunatic from Paras that hasn't been heard from since the time of Queen Esther, all of a sudden is becoming the bad boy of the world again. Wow. And it's on Yom Kippur yet. Oh, yeah, we got a lot of tshuva to do. Okay, so give me an email with your final, the final word. Okay, have a great day.
Very good. Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Take care.